The small village near Ibadan was quiet in the early morning, with chickens crowing and the smell of wet earth after a night of rain. Emeka woke up before dawn as he did every day. Hunger gripped his stomach, and his small hut felt emptier than ever. His wife had died 2 years ago, leaving him to care for their twin daughters, Ada and Nneka. They were just 5 years old, full of life and laughter, but Emeka felt only despair. He looked at the girls sleeping side by side on the thin mat. Their small faces were innocent and peaceful, unaware of the weight of the world their father carried. Emeka's heart ached. He loved them but he could not feed them. The little money he earned from odd jobs and selling firewood was never enough. Debts piled up and neighbors whispered about him. They said he was unlucky, cursed, or lazy. The shame weighed heavily on him. That morning, as Emeka went to the market to sell some yams, he noticed a large car parked at the village entrance. A tall man in expensive clothes stepped out, accompanied by attendants carrying bags and small packages. People stared at him. The man was Mr. Obinna, a billionaire visiting the village. He was known to buy land, businesses, and sometimes even help the poor with jobs or education. Emeka felt a mixture of hope and fear. He watched as Mr. Obinna spoke to some villagers, offering money for small properties and listening politely to their problems. Emeka's mind raced. He could not continue like this. The debts were crushing him, the hunger unbearable, and he saw no way to feed the twins. In a moment of desperation, he made a choice he would later regret forever. When he returned home, he sat outside the hut, staring at Ada and Nneka playing with sticks and stones. The girls laughed, chasing each other and imagining they were queens of a distant kingdom. Emeka's chest tightened. He loved them so much, but he could not provide even a proper meal. He thought about the car, the man, the promise of money, and an idea formed in his mind. A terrible idea. "Girls," he said softly, calling them over. Ada and Nneka ran to him, their small hands clasped together. I have to go away for a while," Emeka said. The girls looked up at him with curious eyes. "Will you come back?" Ada asked. Emeka swallowed hard, his throat dry. I don't know," he said. "But someone will take care of you, I promise." Nneka frowned, sensing his unease. "Papa, why are you crying?" she asked. He could not answer. He could not tell them the truth. He could not say that he was thinking of selling them to a stranger for money. Tears rolled down his face as he hugged them tightly. They held on to him, not understanding but feeling the fear and sadness in his father's arms. That afternoon, Emeka approached Mr. Obinna. His hands trembled as he spoke. "Sir, I have daughters," he said, pointing to Ada and Nneka. "They are young and I cannot care for them properly. I can sell them to you if you want. Just $1. Please, I need help." Mr. Obinna looked at him calmly. "You want to sell your daughters for $1? He asked. His voice was gentle but firm. Emeka nodded, tears in his eyes. I'm sorry. I have no choice." Mr. Obinna studied him for a moment. He could see the desperation, the hunger, the shame in the man's eyes. He also saw the innocence and beauty of the twins, who were holding hands and staring at him with wide eyes. "Very well," he said finally. "Bring them to my car. I will take care of them." Emeka felt a mix of relief and guilt. He walked slowly toward his daughters. Ada and Nneka sensed the change in his mood. "Papa, where are we going?" Ada asked, holding her sister's hand tightly. Emeka knelt down. "Girls, I am giving you to a man who can take care of you," he said softly. "He has a big house, food, and can give you everything I cannot. You will be safe." The girls did not understand. They did not know what selling meant or why their father would give them away. They only saw his tears, his broken face, and they clung to each other, frightened. Nneka whispered, "Papa, don't go. Take us with you." Emeka hugged them both, his heart breaking. I have no choice," he whispered. He lifted them gently, carrying them toward the car. The girls struggled, asking questions, crying softly. Emeka ignored the stares of other villagers who were watching, some shocked, some judging. As they reached the car, Mr. Obinna knelt down and smiled at the twins. "Hello, Ada and Nneka. Don't be afraid. I will take care of you. You will have a good life with me," he said kindly. Emeka looked at the girls one last time. His chest ached as he placed them into the car. "Forgive me," he whispered. "I thought I was helping you, but I know I am wrong." Ada and Nneka did not answer. They only held each other's hands tightly, not understanding but trusting a little, sensing the calmness in Mr. Obinna's voice. As Emeka walked away, the villagers whispered and stared. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others pitied him. But Emeka did not stop. He walked through the dusty roads, tears rolling down his cheeks. The $1 he received could not ease his heart. The shame, the guilt, and the emptiness were heavier than any burden he had carried before. He returned to his empty hut that evening. There was no laughter, no little feet running around. Only silence. Hunger still gnawed at him, but now it was joined by regret. He had made a choice for money, but he had lost something far greater. His daughters and a piece of his soul. That night, Emeka could not sleep. He dreamed of Ada and Nneka crying and asking him why he had left them. He dreamed of Mr. Obinna's house, bright and full of life, and he felt a pang of longing and sorrow. He realized that the $1 he had gained could never replace love, family, or happiness. Outside, the wind blew softly through the village, rustling the leaves of the trees. The twins slept in the car beside Mr. Obinna, safe and warm, unaware of the storm their father carried in his heart. Emeka sat outside his hut, looking at the stars, whispering, "Forgive me. I only wanted to feed you. I never wanted to hurt you." And so, in that small village near Ibadan, a poor man learned too late that desperation and greed could destroy the most precious bonds, and that some choices once made could never be undone. The first day Ada and Nneka arrived at Mr. Obinna's mansion, they were amazed. The house was enormous, with high ceilings, shiny floors, and beautiful furniture they had only seen in books. Large windows looked out onto green gardens, and birds sang near a sparkling fountain. For a moment, the twins felt nervous and shy, unsure of what to do in such a grand place. Mr. Obinna noticed their hesitation. He smiled warmly and knelt to their level. "Welcome Ada and Nneka," he said kindly. "This is your new home. You don't need to be afraid. I will take care of you." Ada and Nneka looked at each other, unsure. They had never known such kindness. In their village, food was scarce, clothes were simple, and life was hard. But here, everything was different. Mr. Obinna handed them soft blankets and warm meals. The girls ate slowly, tasting flavors they had never known, and their eyes lit up. Over the next few days, Mr. Obinna taught them simple rules of the house, but he did so gently. He showed them how to wash their hands before meals, keep their rooms tidy, and speak politely to the staff. The twins listened carefully, trying to remember everything. They began to understand that this was a place where they were safe, cared for, and respected. At first, Ada missed her father, despite his cruel choice. She remembered Emeka's tears and the dusty village streets. Nneka too missed the sounds of the village, the laughter of children playing, the smell of fresh bread baking, the simple songs of the women in the market. But slowly, the kindness of Mr. Obinna and the comfort of the house helped them feel a little less lonely. Mr. Obinna noticed that the twins were intelligent and curious. He introduced them to books, toys that taught lessons, and simple experiments. Ada loved reading while Nneka enjoyed drawing and puzzles. He hired tutors to teach them reading, writing, and math. The girls absorbed knowledge quickly, learning things they had never imagined possible. In the evenings, Mr. Obinna would sit with them in the garden. "You are strong girls," he said one night. "Life may have been difficult, but you can do great things. Never forget that kindness and learning are more important than wealth or power." The twins listened carefully, their hearts warming. They had never heard anyone speak with such patience and care. Slowly they began to feel confident. They began to smile more, laugh more, and even explore the gardens, chasing butterflies and picking flowers. Though they were happy in their new home, the girls sometimes whispered to each other about their village. "Do you think Papa regrets what he did?" Ada asked quietly. Nneka shook her head. "I don't know. But we are here now. Let's learn as much as we can." The days turned into weeks. Ada and Nneka learned manners, proper speech, and respect for others. They helped in the kitchen, learned to water plants, and even assisted Mr. Obinna with small tasks in his office. Every time they did something well, he praised them gently, never scolding them for mistakes. They also met other children in the nearby city who visited Mr. Obinna's home. Ada and Nneka were shy at first, but soon they made friends. The twins discovered that they could play, laugh, and learn together. They were no longer scared or lonely. One afternoon, while drawing in the garden, Ada said, "I never knew life could be like this. We have food, clothes, books, everything we need." Nneka nodded. "Yes, but it feels strange. I miss the village sometimes. I miss Papa even though he hurt us." Ada took her sister's hand. "We cannot change what happened. But we can be strong. Mr. Obinna is kind and we are safe. Let's make the best of it." Mr. Obinna overheard them and smiled. "That is the right way to think, Ada. You cannot change the past, but you can choose your future. And it looks very bright for both of you." Months passed. Ada and Nneka grew stronger, healthier, and more confident. They learned to cook simple meals, read books, write stories, and even help with small business ideas Mr. Obina had. They were no longer frightened children. They had become intelligent, kind, and capable young girls. Mr. Obina often reminded them, money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy courage, kindness, or intelligence. You have these already, and they will carry you further than wealth ever could. The twins began to dream of their future. Ada wanted to become a teacher to help children learn like she had. Neka wanted to be an artist, to bring beauty into the world and show emotions through her drawings. Their dreams grew bigger every day, and they knew Mr. Obina would support them in everything they did. Though they had been sold for $1, the girls realized that love, care, and guidance could change everything. Mr. Obina treated them like his own children, giving them not just wealth, but the tools to build a life full of dignity, knowledge, and hope. By the time a year had passed, Ada and Neka were unrecognizable from the frightened children who had been carried to the mansion. They laughed freely, learned eagerly, and treated everyone with respect. They were strong in ways their father could never have imagined, and they owed it not to the $1, but to the kindness and guidance of the man who had chosen to nurture them instead of ignoring them. At night, as the stars shone over the mansion, Ada and Neka would sit together by the window, holding hands. "We are lucky," Ada said softly. Neka nodded. "Yes, we may have lost Papa's love, but we gained another. And we are strong now. We can face anything." And so, the twins grew in a world of safety, learning, and love, their hearts full of courage and hope. Though their father's greed had brought them pain, the kindness of one man had transformed their lives forever. After selling Ada and Neka for $1, Emeka returned to his small hut in the village. At first he felt relief. He had a little money in his hands, enough to buy some food and pay off a small debt. For a moment, he told himself that he had done what was necessary. But that relief was short-lived. The days passed slowly. Emeka had no children laughing around him. The hut, once filled with the tiny footsteps of Ada and Neka, now felt empty and cold. Every sound reminded him of their absence. The wind through the grass, the crowing of the rooster, even the sound of other children playing outside his door. Each time he heard laughter, his heart ached. Villagers began to talk. Some whispered angrily about what he had done. "Emeka sold his own children," they said. $1. Can you believe it? Others avoided him, shaking their heads or staring silently. He could feel their eyes on him whenever he walked through the market or past other homes. Humiliation burned inside him. At first, Emeka tried to distract himself. He worked longer hours, cutting firewood, fixing roofs, and taking odd jobs for anyone who needed help. But no matter how busy he kept himself, the guilt never left. Every time he sat down to eat, he remembered Ada's eyes and Neka's small hands clinging to his fingers. He thought about the moment he left them in Mr. Obina's car and how they had looked so small and frightened. At night, Emeka could not sleep. He imagined their lives in the big house, wondering if they were happy or sad. Did they cry for him? Did they even remember his face? He wished he could take back that terrible decision, but he knew it was impossible. The $1 he had gained could never replace the love, care, and family he had destroyed. He watched other families in the village with envy. Fathers and mothers laughed with their children, helped them with chores, or held them close at night. They had love and respect, things Emeka had traded for a coin. He tried to join in conversations, to smile when children ran past him, but it all felt hollow. He was alone, shunned, and filled with regret. Emeka began to visit the place where he had last seen the twins. The road to the mansion of Mr. Obina was far, but sometimes he would walk part of it, imagining the twins running safely inside the gates. He wished he could see them, apologize, or hold them. Each step he took reminded him that he had chosen greed over love, desperation over care. Sometimes, Emeka would sit under the shade of a mango tree and think about what he had done. "I was so foolish," he whispered. "I thought $1 could fix everything. But it only brought shame and emptiness." He felt tears stream down his face and no one was there to comfort him. He remembered the day he gave the twins away. He remembered the small hands holding his fingers, the wide eyes staring at him, full of confusion and fear. The memory haunted him. He realized that no amount of money could ever replace the bond between a father and his children. That bond, once broken, could not be bought again. Emeka tried to make small amends in the village. He helped neighbors, fixed broken roofs, carried water for elderly women, and shared food when he could. But nothing could fill the hole in his heart. People still whispered about his greed. Even those he helped could not forget the terrible act he had committed. As the months passed, Emeka noticed something else. He had grown lonely. Without the laughter of his daughters, without the warmth of family, life felt meaningless. He ate his meals slowly, often skipping them, and lay awake thinking about what his life had become. He realized he had sold not just his daughters, but his peace, his happiness, and his dignity. One rainy night, Emeka sat on the muddy ground outside his hut, listening to the patter of water on the roof. He imagined Ada and Nneka in their warm mansion, reading books or learning new skills. He thought about the life he could have given them, the love he could have shown, and the man he could have been. And he wept, crying not just for his daughters, but for the father he had failed to be. Guilt consumed him day and night. Even when he tried to sleep, the faces of Ada and Nneka appeared in his dreams. They were happy dreams at first, but soon turned sad, with the girls calling for him, asking why he had left them. He would wake up crying, holding his head in his hands, realizing the truth he could not escape. Greed had destroyed his family. Emeka began to understand something important. Money could never replace love, care, or respect. The $1 he had gained was meaningless compared to the smiles, the laughter, and the trust of his daughters. He had been desperate, but his decision had consequences far beyond hunger or debt. The realization hit him hard. He knew he could never undo the past, but he could not stop thinking about the twins. He wondered what they were learning, what kind of people they were becoming, and whether they would ever forgive him. Every day the thought weighed heavier on his heart. In the village, the other fathers laughed with their sons, mothers hugged their daughters, and children played freely. Emeka sat alone, realizing that he had traded his chance to share such moments forever. He tried to speak to villagers, but no one listened. His reputation was ruined. His pride was gone. All he had left was guilt. As the sun set over the small village, Emeka sat on a broken wooden chair outside his hut. He looked at the red sky and whispered, "I was wrong. I did not see what mattered. I thought money could fix life, but it cannot fix a broken heart." The wind blew softly, carrying the whispers of the past and the dreams of the daughters he had sold. And so, Emeka, the poor greedy man, learned too late that the cost of greed was far greater than any coin. The $1 he had received for Ada and Nneka could not bring them back, could not heal his guilt, and could not give him peace. He would live the rest of his life carrying that regret, hoping, perhaps foolishly, that one day somehow his daughters would forgive him. Years had passed since Emeka had sold Ada and Nneka for a single dollar. The little girls he had once carried in his arms were now grown into intelligent, kind, and confident young women. They moved with grace, spoke with confidence, and treated everyone with respect. Their childhood, once stolen from them, had been replaced by opportunities, learning, and care, thanks to Mr. Obinna. Emeka, meanwhile, had grown older and more fragile. His hair had turned gray, and the lines on his face told the story of guilt, regret, and loneliness. Every day he thought about his daughters, wondering how they had turned out and whether they had ever forgiven him in their hearts. The $1 he had gained from selling them had brought him nothing but shame. He realized he had wasted precious years away from the two people he loved most. Finally, after much hesitation, Emeka decided to go to the city where Mr. Obinna lived. He did not know if the twins would want to see him, but he could not go on without trying. He walked the long roads, dusty and crowded, carrying a small bundle of gifts for Ada and Nneka. A few clothes, some sweet treats, and a simple note asking for forgiveness. His heart pounded, and his hands shook with fear and anticipation. When he reached the mansion, he was greeted by Mr. Obinna, who had grown fond of the twins. The billionaire looked at Emeka with understanding but also seriousness. "You may see them," Mr. Obinna said, "but understand they may be angry. You must be honest and humble." Emeka nodded, swallowing hard. He walked to the garden where Ada and Nneka were sitting, reading a book together. The girls looked up as he approached. They recognized him instantly. Ada's hand went to her chest, and Nneka's eyes widened. There was a mixture of hurt, confusion, and curiosity in their expressions. "Father?" Ada whispered, her voice trembling. Emeka fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "My daughters, Ada and Nneka. I am so sorry," he said, his voice breaking. "I was greedy, foolish, and weak. I thought I was helping by giving you away, but I was wrong. I regret it every single day of my life. Please, forgive me." Nneka stared at him silently, her heart aching with memories of that day in the car. Ada remained quiet, her eyes searching his face. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. The wind rustled the trees, and the sun shone gently over the garden as if waiting for an answer. I do not know if I can forgive you yet," Ada said softly. "You left us, you sold us for money. Do you understand how that felt? How scared we were?" Emeka nodded, bowing his head. "Yes, I understand now. I feel the pain every moment. I was desperate and I made the worst decision a father could make. I have nothing to give you but my apology, my tears, and my promise that I will never harm you again. Neka's voice shook. We grew up learning to be kind, strong and honest despite what happened. But it hurt us deeply. I don't know if we can forget that. Emeka looked at the twins with anguish in his eyes. I do not expect you to forget. I only hope, someday you can forgive me. I have learned too late that love is far more important than money. Mr. Obinna watched quietly, seeing the raw emotion and sincerity in Emeka's words. He knew the twins had been well cared for, but he also knew that meeting their father would stir complicated feelings. Ada took a deep breath, glancing at her sister. Neka nodded slightly, and Ada extended her hand to Emeka. Father, you hurt us, but we can see that you are truly sorry. I cannot promise that all the pain will vanish, but I can listen to you now. Emeka took her hand with trembling fingers, feeling a mix of relief and sorrow. He bowed his head, tears falling freely. Thank you, Ada. Thank you, for giving me a chance even if small. The twins sat with him for hours, listening to his story, his regrets, and the lonely years he had endured. Emeka spoke of his poverty, his hunger, and how he thought a single dollar could save them and himself. He admitted his mistake, his greed, and his cowardice. He spoke honestly without excuses, leaving only truth and remorse. Ada and Neka listened carefully. Their hearts softened though the pain remained. They realized that Emeka had suffered too. He had lived with the consequences of his actions every day. They were not ready to embrace him fully, but they understood the honesty in his tears. As the sun set, casting a golden light over the garden, Emeka stood slowly, bowing before his daughters. I know I cannot take back the past. But if you allow it, I want to be part of your lives even in a small way. I will not force myself and I will not harm you again. I only want your forgiveness and a chance to see who you have become. Ada smiled faintly, her hand still in his. We have grown with kindness and love even though you were gone. You cannot change the past, but we see your sorrow now. That is a start. Neka nodded. We forgive you for now, Father. But you must understand, it will take time to heal completely. We must see actions, not just words. Emeka bowed again, tears falling onto the garden floor. I understand, and I will do whatever it takes. Thank you for giving me hope. Mr. Obinna stepped forward, smiling warmly. The twins have grown strong, wise, and kind. You may be forgiven, but remember, the rest of your life must show that you have changed. Emeka nodded, feeling a weight lift from his heart, though he knew the road ahead would be long. For the first time in many years he felt a spark of hope, that perhaps, through truth, honesty and patience he could repair the broken bonds with Ada and Neka. The twins spent the evening with him, sharing stories of their school, their hobbies, and their dreams. They laughed softly, sometimes forgetting the past, sometimes remembering it. Emeka listened, soaking in every word, every smile, and every moment, realizing that love, patience, and understanding were far more valuable than money ever could be. That night, Emeka left the mansion with a heavy heart, but one filled with a cautious hope. He knew he had been forgiven in part, but true redemption would take time. And he promised himself, silently, that he would never allow greed or desperation to rule his life again. Ada and Neka went to bed that night, holding hands and reflecting on the meeting. They understood their father's regret, but they also knew that their own strength and kindness had helped them grow beyond pain. They had faced hardship, but they had flourished. And they had the power to choose love and forgiveness over anger and bitterness. Years had passed since Ada and Neka had met their father again. The initial shock and pain of being sold for $1 had softened with time, understanding, and care. Mr. Obinna had raised them with love, but their hearts had also grown wise. They knew that anger alone could not heal wounds, and forgiveness was a power stronger than bitterness. One bright morning, Ada and Neka decided to take action. They remembered the children in the village who were hungry, sick, or without guidance, children like they had once been. With Mr. Obinna's support, they planned a small initiative, a place where orphans and poor children could learn, eat, and play safely. They called it the Helping Hand Center. Emeka watched quietly, humbled by their determination. He had spent years in guilt and loneliness, realizing that his greed had destroyed not only their childhood but also a part of himself. He now understood what true wealth was, not money but love, kindness, and the ability to make life better for others. The twins worked tirelessly. Ada taught reading and writing while Neka organized games, art, and lessons about kindness. Children who had never touched a book learned to write their names. Those who had never had toys learned to play and share. The laughter of children filled the air, bringing joy that Emeka had never experienced in years. Ada and Neka also visited their village often. They brought food, clothes, and lessons to the children left behind. Villagers were amazed at the generosity and skill of the young women. They praised the twins for their wisdom and for forgiving a father who had once caused them so much pain. Ada said, "We cannot change the past, but we can use our experience to help others." Emeka, though broken and humble, accompanied them on these visits. He carried supplies, helped build small classrooms, and spoke to children about making good choices. With every smile he saw on the children's faces, he felt a small piece of redemption. He realized that forgiveness was not just for him, but also for the twins to heal. The twins often spoke to their father about life lessons. "Papa," Ada said one day, "we have learned that greed destroys families. But love, care, and effort can build a life full of hope." Neka added, "We forgive you, but it is your actions now that will show your heart." Emeka nodded, tears in his eyes. He had lived with regret for so long that every moment spent helping the children felt like a chance to make amends. He carried the lesson of humility in his heart and promised never to let greed control him again. Over time, the Helping Hand Center grew. More volunteers joined, inspired by Ada and Neka's dedication. Former villagers saw the twins as a symbol of resilience and compassion. They understood that even though Ada and Neka had been sold for a single dollar, their lives had been transformed into a story of courage, love, and generosity. Ada and Neka also nurtured each other, always remembering the bond they shared as twins. Their past pain became a lesson in empathy, allowing them to understand the struggles of the children they helped. Every child who laughed, learned, or felt safe in their care reminded them of the journey they had endured and overcome. Emeka spent his final years quietly supporting their work. He carried a humble life, no longer chasing wealth or status. The $1 he had once gained could not compare to the satisfaction of seeing his daughters flourish and help others. He often sat under a tree at the center, watching children play and learning to forgive himself for the past. Through their efforts, Ada and Neka created ripples of change that spread beyond their village. They inspired others to act with kindness, to forgive, and to understand that true wealth was measured by the love and care one gives, not by money. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned orange and pink, the twins walked hand in hand through the center. Children ran around them, laughing and learning. Ada looked at Neka and said, "We were given a second chance, and now we can give others a chance." Neka smiled. "Yes, and Papa understands now too. He knows that money cannot buy love or forgiveness. Only actions and care can create a real life." Emeka, standing nearby, nodded silently. He had learned the hardest lesson of his life, that greed destroys families and love cannot be bought. But he had also learned that it is never too late to try to make amends, to give back, and to support the ones you love. The twins' story became known throughout the village and neighboring towns. People admired their courage, their compassion, and their ability to forgive. They were living proof that even the darkest beginnings could lead to light when hearts were strong and filled with love. In the quiet moments, Ada and Neka would think of their journey, from the day they were sold, to the mansion, to their work with children. They realized that pain had shaped them, but love and kindness had made them who they were. They had grown into women of wisdom, resilience, and compassion. Through it all, the bond between the twins and their father remained, slowly healing. Emeka never forgot the wrong he had done, but he found peace in seeing his daughters thrive, helping others, and showing the world that even from great mistakes, goodness and love could emerge. And so, Ada and Neka lived lives of meaning, their past hardships transformed into a legacy of hope. Emeka passed his remaining days quietly, knowing that though he had been greedy once, the lives of his daughters, and the children they helped, reflected the power of love, forgiveness, and true wealth. The twins' lives became a story told for generations, of compassion, resilience, and the understanding that the greatest treasures in life are not money, but love, kindness, and the courage to forgive.